What's up, everybody? I'm Mike. Welcome to Mike Makes. Tonight we are going to be doing trap doors. I have in front of me some ready board and just a dollar store cheap foam board, and we have the XPS foam. I've been doing a lot of smaller projects lately. I have so many scraps, it's ridiculous. But let's jump right in. A lot of times when you're playing these RPG games, D&D, Pathfinder, stuff like that, a lot of times the story might call for a trapdoor. Most of the time, that's kind of left to theater of the mind. It's not really a piece, but I'd like to come up with just about every piece I could think of. I like switching the board around. That looks good, right? Hopefully. First thing I'm going to make is the door. We're going to build like a little piece of terrain to go with it, but got this measured out. I've got mine measured out at 2 by 2, and nobody said anything about it being square. We're going to try, though. We're going to try to be as square as possible, depending on how thick you want it. I'm just doing it to represent a door, like a door in the floor. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, we went over it last time with like the wood grain, right? I don't see my ruler. Somebody please send me a ruler. Every time I look for it, I can't find it. I don't see my ruler. Okay, so basically, anyway, we're going to put a couple of straight lines on our foam, kind of space them out accordingly. You know, you don't want it to look weird. So if you see what I've done there, got the lines scored in there. Now we'll do the wood grain. You might want to find your center point and mark your center point. It depends on what kind of door you want. Do you want a trap door that swings open? Do you want maybe a hidden door that you can open with both hands? You kind of have to figure out where your pivot points are going to be, where your how your door is going to open. I think for this, actually, I got an idea. So I'm gonna go start and do my wood grain on each one of these boards, or some people in the comments might call them slats. And you still want to do a good job, but it's not something I would sit here and take hours on. This is a quick project. I really enjoyed doing the live videos, so I think that might start being a thing. I still work a full-time job and I have 3 kids, so it'll be challenging, but hopefully in the end it'll be worth it. Just drawing this wood grain. Anybody that watched the previous videos, I kind of explained that I like to work at the speed of thought. I don't like to have to wait for things to dry. It annoys me a little bit. We're actually going to do a video about that, I think. Any kind of attention that my artwork gets is always in awe, because a lot of the stuff that I do doesn't, I mean, you know, I like it, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, but to know that other people also kind of get into what I'm doing, it makes you feel good. Can't hardly see them, but they are there. We need some cardboard. I save these, so, you know, eat snack cakes, stuff like that. Save them. We're throwing away perfectly good paper, things that you can use. I don't have a whole lot of money, so anything that I can use is awesome. And basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to trim out. All right. So there's a line. All right. So that's a little bit of a doodad. So what I'm doing, I'm not cutting it. I'm scoring it so it will fold. So now we've got a little shoot. Put that on there like that. Handy dandy glue gun. See, each one of these that you do, glue it on there like that. Of course, we'll clean it up. We'll trim it up and everything. Glue it on there like this. And then just take your scissors, preferably after the hot glue is dry. Yeah, we'll move it right along. A lot of people, like, see how when the corners meet, it's square, right? A lot of people would think to like bevel them at a 45, but you can. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know. Like, I think like really old fantasy, they're not gonna have a bunch of fancy edges and beveling and things like that. You know, it's gonna be raw and dirty and like the cheapest and easiest way to possibly get it done. Now, simple and effective. That's the way we like things, right? Okay. Add a little bit of glue to the back of these. I've burnt my fingers so many times on hot glue since I started doing this. It's ridiculous. All right, so we have a little frame. If you can see that, we have a little frame. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take some scraps. This is 1/2 inch. So we're gonna start with the bigger scrap. I'm gonna break off some foam. And when I say break it off, I mean like actually break it. Like that. Just break it. We're gonna be making a stone path. So I'm just kind of scoring it with my blade just so I don't like break the whole piece in half. Get like a rough outline. And we're gonna make these 2 high, so it's gonna be 1 inch high. So if you are using 1 inch foam, you won't have to do this. I cut the bottom one just a touch bigger, like a 1/4 inch bigger, just kind of so we have a little something to trim out to help with some definition. I try to use up most of my scraps though. Okay, basically our base starting like this. Okay, can somebody come over and teach me how to cut a straight line? That'd be pretty cool. I don't know how to cut straight lines. I cut the bottom one just a tiny touch bigger. Squish it down. Pull that glue on that one. Remember, speed of thought. A lot of people that get into this hobby, they start with these projects and they just get lost. Like they're just like, damn, like what do I do next? Like I don't know. I don't know how to do this. I don't visualize what you want to accomplish and just do it. Just make it happen. You know what I'm saying? So now what we're going to do, we're going to glue our door directly on the top. Anybody that's seen my promos and my Instagram or anything like that will know. Well, they can tell you that I like stairs. I don't know. Stairs lead to everywhere, I guess. I have no clue why, but I love stairs. And what I'm doing now is I'm taking some of my scrap. I'm just cutting just little pieces, maybe 1/2 inch pieces, close to it. I'm going to cut those pieces in half. Instead of like one big piece of foam, I'm stacking half pieces of foam. That way it looks like, I don't know, maybe rocks that have been stacked. And all I'm doing is I'm just breaking off the edges and just making them a little bit rough. That's it. Just take your fingernail, just make them a little bit rough. anything about this hobby had to be perfect, you would not be watching Mike Makes right now, I promise you. By the way, this is an idea I had at work. I don't know if it's gonna work. It might look like total crap when I get done. I have no clue. Get you some foam, an X-Acto knife, and a hot glue gun. I'm gonna wing it together. This is a build on a whim. Basically, what we're left with is this. We have a starter. We have a platform. Okay, this square base right here. See how it's really, I mean, it's square. It's, you know, doesn't look like anything. A technique I'd learned is if you want to make it look like something broke, just barely kind of pick at it and then flick it. Barely flick it. You can use that technique. You can pick at it with your fingers. All kinds of stuff. I mean, make it your own. Do it how you feel. Kind of texture up these stairs just a little bit. You don't want to cut too deep. Like you don't want to, you don't want to gouge it completely out. And make sure, because it looks really bad during the paint process, make sure if you have little pieces hanging off, go ahead and take them off. It looks really bad when there's like little flaps everywhere, you know. If you touch it, of course it chips. Yeah, it's good, solid already. So now, what we got to do, I'm not going to tell anybody what I'm using. It's not mine to talk about. If anybody wants to know what I'm using, definitely go over and check out Jeremy at Black Magic Craft, and he talks about it quite a bit. As far as I know, this is his thing. It's something I personally use in my hobby, so I'm not at liberty. I'm not going to talk about it. He taught me something, and I use it. So hopefully I've got some fans out there like that, or maybe I will one day. One thing you have to have on your desk is a dry paintbrush, not for paint. Basically, we are smothering this thing down. We're going to take a short break here in a few. Once I get this slathered down, and you like literally, I don't have to even explain, like, but yeah, you don't have to be liberal with this stuff at all. The thicker you put it on. Now, certain things like the wood grain, don't put it on thick on the wood grain, because you will definitely lose all the detail that you have carved in. So, you know, but like stones, rocks, things like that, lather it up, man. It makes it thicker, and it protects it. So, now that I have glue all over my hands, awesome. Great. But my hot glue came loose. But which we will fix. This is what this is what you're left with. I think for a 10-minute project, 20-minute project, I don't think this is not a bad deal, and it measures a little over 4x4. It's 4 inches wide, almost five inches deep. So it's perfectly game table ready. Like this is another piece that I've made. This is way smaller, so you could definitely use this in tandem on a board. There's no reason not to. And if you want to see the last thing I built on this channel, check out Mike Makes. I'll show you how to do these little trees. So I still have not figured out what we're gonna do about this base, what's going on it. I cannot make up my mind. Pretty sure it's gonna be the swamp troll, but there's no water. You can't have a swamp base with no water. So maybe we'll figure that out. And I had the idea to wrap some of this around a toothpick and make us some hinges. So I think they're pretty proportionate for the most part. We're gonna go ahead and throw a little bit of glue on here. It doesn't take hardly any glue at all for something this small. Kind of push it down in there. You kind of want it to be almost recessed, like shoved down in there. But a little bit out. Like, I'm not even really squeezing the trigger at all. I'm just kind of priming it a little bit. Just sticking them on there. Just try to space them out good enough. Okay. And then what I'm gonna do, we'll see a lot of people do this, but put a little bit of hot glue on your knife and just kind of wipe it in there. You know, see what I'm saying? You got to do it quick. Like I said, I didn't do it very fast on that one. That way, there are precision nozzle hot glue guns, but I don't have one of those, so I make do. Okay. You can see that. Okay. So, that done, that glue is going to dry. We need to start kind of planning out, like, are we cutting this out? Are we going to decorate it? What are we going to do? I honestly think I'm going to cut it out. I think it would look better as like a standalone piece. This kind of looks like a base, like a bigger base. So, wipe the glue off the razor blade. And just going to trace along the edge. And trace along that edge. Now I have spider glue everywhere. Okay. I don't know, I think that looks pretty good. Make it kind of flow a little bit better. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back and it's kind of a personal preference. I mean, if you want to like tidy up the edges, or if you want to do the edges like rock, however you want to do it. But now we're left with a clean little base. All right. Since we're painting on foam, it is apple barrel all day today. So I'm probably gonna go in with maybe some Vallejo bronze, just for some of the hardware, and maybe just like a few little metallic touches here and there. Ooh, that would actually be good. Oily steel. So these are the paints we're going to use. And we're just going to give it a few minutes and try to let that dry just a little bit. And play the waiting game. We want it to look like old stone, okay? And yeah, we've carved it, but these things are awesome. This particular one, I had a friend make me on a 3D printer, but I know Green Stuff World sells one really, really nice. And basically all you do is you just roll it. And you imprint like a stone texture. You know, there's easier and cheaper ways to do it. Definitely be able to do it with like tin foil, but before the black stuff. See? So now we have like some cross patterns and stuff on the stairs. I'm gonna flip it over so the pattern's different, and we'll do it like that. And yes, I know it's bad, but I use the lid to my dry palette because craft paint it's like 50 cents a bottle, so I don't save it. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in here. I'm gonna try to get. I don't want it really thick, but I want really good coverage on it. Okay. Boom. Now, that doesn't look like wood, does it? No, because like we said in our last, wood is not one color. So, I'm gonna paint some of these boards just a little darker. I'm not cleaning my brush or anything. I'm just putting some variance in the wood. Maybe wipe your brush off from time to time, but other than that, we're fine. And always remember, whatever direction you're brushing towards, that's where all the paint's gonna go. So when you get done, you need to kind of smooth it back out. I shook these up earlier, so my arm hurts. But I'll take just a touch of that, and I don't want to get like I don't want the steel to be silver, but I do kind of want to just put a little bit of metallic on there, almost like a dry brush, maybe a stipple. I'm gonna do that. And again, I'm using like very little paint. Like if I could show you my palette, it's like I put like a drop on the palette. It does not take a lot of paint for this. Okay. Looks pretty good. Now, we'll go around the edges. Same concept, just a little bit metallic. You don't want this metal looking like completely silver because then it won't look right. Just like that. You know? Okay, next, I'm going to do these hinges. And do the hardware. So I'm gonna put a wash on this stuff, so it's gonna dull it out quite a bit. Oh, duh! I didn't even go over it. In the last video we did these edges. During the break, I was having problems with the glue holding, so I came up with the idea of why not have rivets. So I don't know what these things are called. If anybody knows what they are, let me know. I think they're like jewelry starters or something. I got them at Walmart for like $1, whole pack of them. But the ones with the heads on them, I just cut them a little shorter and pushed them in, and I'm using them. I'm painting them as rivets. There we go. All right. Okay. Starting to make a little bit of progress. All right, I think so. Now for the fun part. These are done with. We put them up. Well, for a dry brush, I always just use a makeup brush. That's what I like to use. When I was starting out and I was learning, that's what everybody said to use. So I tried it and it worked. So I kept up with it. Gonna start brushing this on. Brush this this coat. I'm using like a darker gray. You want to brush this coat on fairly thick, like not saturated. You still want to be able to see a little bit of black, but fairly saturated, not completely. I love doing this stuff. I just gotta say, I really do. And one thing that I'm noticing, I did not trim it off. If you're using a ready board, the edges come perforated. You see how it's like the machine edge. Try to cut that off. I did not notice that when I cut it, and I just now noticed it. It's kind of embarrassing, but we all make mistakes, so it's fine. Okay. Now, most people would probably be happy with calling this done, but I'm not. No, hell no. My trusty rag down here. You know what I did is I actually put a hook in my drawer and I just hang my rag right there. So it's always there. I don't have to look for it, even though I'm pretty sure every single Mike Makes video I'm looking for a rag or a ruler. Because nobody will send me one. But this is where we're at so far. I need to put a wash on it and wait for it to dry. So Kelly said this looks cool. Agrax Earthshade. How many of you use this stuff? This is like the most popular paint I have ever seen in my life. It's almost like an offensive thing. It's like if you don't use this stuff, you're not really into the craft. Like it's crazy how people get over this stuff. And actually, and oh man, I'm about to kill like everybody. Everybody's about to hate me. It was actually too dark for me. So I actually added like a few drops of burnt umber to give it more of a brownish color. So I'm sure, I have no doubt, like everybody in the entire miniature community, as soon as they hear me say that, I'm gonna be like shunned. But I mean, you know, it's true. It's like, you know, and this is gonna kind of blend everything together. Okay, now, even though you will definitely not be able to tell what the finished product's looking like, this is so far what we have. So I'm gonna put this on the dryer, and we might actually take a short break and check it out. We'll finish dry brushing it, and I did not anticipate this taking as long, and I apologize. It's going to be a pretty lengthy video, at least if you watch the unedited version. Back to what we were doing. Now what we're going to do, okay, we put the wash all over it, okay, so it's going to be a little bit darker. Plus, you can't tell it really, but it does have that brown tint to it. Just a tiny brown tint, not a whole lot. So what we're going to do is we are going to go back with the same dark gray that we had previously. And we're going to get a tiny bit amount. I mean, like tiny amount on our dry brush. Just start kind of hitting some of the high edges, like literally brushing it. Okay. Just kind of barely dust it on there. And you don't want like a huge change. You're just wanting just enough to where it kind of pops a few highlights back in there. That way the undertones are all dark from the wash. And all you're doing is hitting the very, very tops of everything. Just go all over it. Just, like I said before, this is not one of those super complicated builds. So we're going to take a very, it almost looks white on camera, but it's a very light gray. It's granite gray. And we are going to get a tiny bit amount. We're going to wipe off our brush until almost no paint comes off. Preferably, I like just dusting in kind of like one direction. It's the worst band ever. Right, just kind of lightly dust just the edges. You're not going crazy this time, you're just doing the edges. Like, I'm using such little paint that what I dab off is like, it's already dry. There we go. This is our trap door. Kind of looks scary, don't it? It's kind of dusty. Our hinges. That was actually a good idea. I'm pretty proud of that, actually. So I think that would be a pretty cool piece on any tabletop. It might need just a little bit more of a wash, but you get the picture. That's all. That's Mike Makes Trapdoor. So like, subscribe, hit us up on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and I barely use it, but I do have TikTok at Mikemakesmdr or Mikemakesmdr. So take it easy, keep creating.